He just walked out, not looking that happy, and he would kind of didn't even look at me, and he was like, "You're working Gargano," and like walked away. I was like, "All right, cool. Who's Gargano?"
Who's this Johnny Wrestling guy?
Yeah, and it's not. I'm not saying it as a knock to him because I just it could have been freaking like anyone. I just didn't know anybody on the Indies. I was a guy that was like WWE, 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 WWE. I don't care. WWE. That's the only place I want to be. So why am I going to watch anything else? Why am I? And this isn't a knock against anything, but why am I going to watch New Japan? Why am I going to watch Impact Wrestling? Why am I going to watch? I don't want to be there. I want to be in WWE. That's it. That's all I want. That's my goal. Um. So and Rex walks right up to me. He goes, "Oh, you get to work Gargano." And I'm like, I get to? Like, what the hell does that mean? I'm not wrestling Triple H. I get to wrestle Triple H. I'm wrestling Gargano, whatever. Cool. Can you tell me who he is? Which one is he? And so I go over and I say, hey, man, me and you are going to work. And he was like, yeah. Like, he was just like, yeah, okay. And I was like, he literally just treated me like a greenhorn. Like, he treated me like I was 2 years in the business and shouldn't have even been getting a match. And I could tell, because I've been around a long time, so I could tell that, he was. I've been in locker room with guys that were wrestling green dudes, and he was treating me the same way, you know. Um, so I went up to Biff, and I was like, because they all came together, and I was like, yo, dude, can you just like let him know that you worked with me, and I know what I'm doing, and make him feel a little more comfortable, because I feel like he feels a little uncomfortable because he doesn't know me. He was like, yeah, bro, yeah. And he always called me Big Mike. So he was like, yo, Johnny, you're wrestling Big Mike, man. Don't worry about it. Big Mike's good. He knows what he's doing. Like, he was like kind of messing with him, but like he was messing with him because you could tell he was nervous, because he didn't know me. And I guess maybe he gets, I don't know him that well. Maybe he gets nervous when he wrestles people. He's
Yeah, and
never,
meanwhile, at this point, Johnny Gargano hadn't had matches with like Abyss and Kazarian and big names like that. So, not for nothing, check the attitude, Mr. Wrestling. That's all.
right. No, exactly. And I never stopped being nice to him because I didn't want to, like I said, I have a problem with like, if I feel disrespected, I don't care who you are, unless you're Hunter or Triple H, don't friggin' disrespect me. You know what I mean? Like, I'll take certain things, I'll eat certain people's crap if I have to on occasion, but like, don't be blatantly disrespectful to me, bro. We're in the same business, we're doing the same thing, you know? And like you said, I had been places, man. Like I had worked followed by, I had worked, these big name indie guys like the new Heavenly Bodies, the Carino brothers, like these guys. They had just come off a match with the Harlem Heat, bro. Like freaking the Harlem Heat came out of retirement, when all that stuff went down. They wrestled them, at Booker's promotion and Global Force. They were in the main event with freaking Gallows and Anderson. Like I had worked big name indie guys, bro. It wasn't like I was some slouch greenhorn, So he's going over, we're going over a match, and like I said before, Biff put me over with a clothesline on, and SmackDown in front of Hunter. You know what I'm saying? Or he would have if it would have went that way. And this cat's like, yeah, we're going over stuff. He's like, what's your finish? What kind of moves do you do? I said anything Triple H. Neck breakers, spine, double A spine buster. I said I'll take pretty much anything. So he's like, yeah, we'll do this. My finish at the time was a TKO and a frog splash. Those were the two finishes I would usually do. She's like, all right, blah, 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 I'll do this. And they picked me up for the TKO. He, spin me through, and I'm like, all right, cool. And then that's, 1, 2, 3. And he's like, no. I was like, okay. He's like, no, spin me through for the TKO. I'll roll around you and get you. Does he? You would know. Does he do like an arm submission or something like that?
Yeah, he calls it the Gargano escape. It's kind of like a crippler crossface, but he actually has his head underneath the guy's arm and he torques
Yeah,
back on it.
yeah, that's what he finished me with. So I had him up for a TKO, spun through, and then he like swung his legs around, took me down by the arm, and put me in it, and I tapped. So think about that, like everybody's different. It's wrestling. I don't care, man. I'll get counted out. I'll tap out. I don't care. But a lot of guys, like would be like, so you're just telling me I'm going to tap to you? You know what I mean? Like a lot of guys are like that. They're not going to tap to you unless you're established or they know you or it makes sense to a story. Because tapping out is a big deal to some guys and their gimmick and their character. And he just was like, "Yeah, we're going to do this. You're going to spin through. I'm going to reverse your finisher, and you're going to tap out." Okay, like,
And you don't get to say, like, why was he the one to dictate the finish in that situation?
well, at that point, you know, Matt Bloom had already pretty much like the way he said you're wrestling Gargano expected me to know who this guy was, right? So in my head, if the head trainer of the performance center is expecting me to just know who Gargano is, they must like him. They must be high up on him. He must be someone more than I recognize. You know what I mean? And if they're like you're wrestling Gargano, I'm supposed to just know who that is. Maybe there's something I don't know. And he had come in early, late with Biff. Like Biff, all those like indie you were talking about, the Evolve guys, they came an hour later than everybody else, and they were allowed to. That was like their thing. So like I
I
was
think the show that we went to an Evolve show in I forget where it was. I think it was in Deer Park, right? It was in Deer Park, and the night before they were in Queens, and actually Regal was there scouting Evolve talent. So that was probably all right around the exact same time.
right, yeah, probably, yeah. Um, so I just was like, maybe there's something I don't know. He's Biff's friend, and like I'm whatever. If anything, I'll show these guys that I don't give a crap about tapping out, and I don't. It doesn't matter. Listen, wrestling. I've always said wrestling is the only sport in the world that it doesn't matter if you win or lose. It's how you play the game. If you lose in baseball, if you lose in soccer, if you lose in hockey, if you lose in football, you suck. Your team's never going to get anywhere, and it matters if you win or lose because you'll never get anywhere. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it matters how you play the game when you get to the pros and how much money you're going to make if you're the best player on the team and stuff like that. But in wrestling, you could lose every match in the world and be the most over guy and make the most money. So it doesn't matter, and I'm not about money, but I'm just using that as an example. So I was like, whatever, I don't care. But it did bother me for a second, Mike. Like I was kind of like, why? And not for nothing. Like, and I don't mean to like. I was looking down at this kid, like, really, kid? So why do you get to determine this? You know what I mean? Like, but in my head, I was just kind of like, whatever, man. That's fine.
That's tremendous because when we talked to him at Evolve, like I'm not a tall guy. I'm like maybe 5'7" with stilts on.
I'm like 5'9". Yeah, so
Joe's
he's
5'9",
he's
and
like
we're
our
all
height,
like the same height. So I totally know what you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's not a big dude.
yeah, I don't mean it as a knock, but at the same token, this is still professional wrestling, and like my 5-year-old son is almost your height. Why are you standing here like giggling and laughing at me when you're saying pick me up for the TKO, spin through it, and I'm like, okay, and that's the end, because like I, he's 175 pounds. My legs weigh as much as as much as his whole body does. Well, and I'm saying this from a wrestling standpoint. I'm not trying to insult, people that are, that aren't that heavy or that aren't that tall. It's not a big deal. But in the wrestling world and in the WWE that I watched my whole life, being 6'1", 230 meant something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Vince has always kind of been a body guy. So,
Yeah.
but I think right now they're kind of transitioning out of that, as you can see. But still, you want to. But I just think there's like a certain respect. Like you said, you want to be respectful in the business, no matter, if you work in a janitor or if that you own the WWE. You want to have the same kind of respect for everybody. So it's a little. I want to say it's a little disappointing to hear Johnny wrestling little about himself. That's all.
Yeah, and I mean, and I paid, bro. I put the ring up, took it down. My wrestling school, we took the ring down, put it up every single night, 3 nights a week. Put it up, took it down every night. I paid my dues for years. I worked my ass off to get to the WWE, to get to where I was, just like he did. It was kind of like I just felt like I was getting treated, and if it were anybody else, like on the roster, I would have been like, sure, cool, no problem, and I wouldn't even tell the story in a negative way. They're in a position where I mean, you should be a decent human being, but like, those guys would be in a position where they could talk to me like that and tell me that, and I don't mind. But
I want to ask you about the Performance Center because you said you were there for how many days?
4 or 5.
4 days, and you guys didn't wrestle till the last day.
So not only the last day, but the last, like my flight was in 2 hours or something like that when I was going out for the match.
Do you think that's an issue with the way the WWE product is today? Because I mean, when you have people coming up from the Performance Center now, if they don't have a base somewhere else, like in NXT, you have like Red Dragon and Adam Cole and whatnot, and these are guys that are established in Ring of Honor. But it seems like the prototype for the WWE is you go to the Performance Center, you become a great athlete, but you don't necessarily become a great wrestler. And I think that's a little bit different than how you were brought up too. Is that true?
Oh, that's definitely true. The only thing I will say, and you could take my word for this because I'm not like maybe 3 4 years ago I would give you like the company answer and be like, no, the performance center is the best, and you guys are crazy. You know what I mean? Because like I want a job. Um, but dude, the performance center is like you could make. So you could teach. The only thing you can't teach someone is the it factor. But like, they're not going to sign someone that doesn't have a presence, or you know what I mean. Like if they don't have a wrestling background, they ain't going to sign you unless you could bring something to the table in the form of like some kind of presence or it factor or whatever that may be. Because dude, they have like those guys on there are geniuses. They could teach. They could Man, I don't even know how to put. I mean, they could teach you how to wrestle a mop and make it be the main event of WrestleMania. Those guys, man, like those are the best minds in the world for the business. And then now they got Shawn Michaels down there, and like you, I'm, dude. I honestly, I would have said it was a problem when I first started wrestling to be like, yeah, they have to pay their dues like me. But like I know that from what I've seen, they make these guys put the ring up at shows and take them down, and like the NXT guys, from what I've seen, and like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like I've seen shows where they've had the guys helping with the ring, and these guys. I tell you right now, the drills that they have you do there. I was a personal trainer at the time, so I was in the best shape I'd ever been in, and I was dying, bro. I was waking up in the middle of the night like cramps in my quads, and like at one point we were doing sled pushes, and my calf rolled up into a ball in the back of my knee because I had such it got so strained that it literally it cramped so tight that it rolled up into a ball, and my entire calf was in the back of my knee. And they had to give me like those like sodium tablets or whatever it's called, like to you know
Yeah, the electrolyte tablets to
yeah,
keep the fluid balance, right?
yeah, like I had to stop, which I was like so pissed, but like I couldn't even walk, dude. Like it literally went all the way up into the back of my knee, and I was like, "What the frick?" Because I mean, the drills are crazy, bro. There was a guy there that my wife gets so mad at me because my wife was she was in the military, she was in the Coast Guard, and there was a guy there that told me he was in the Marines, and he said this was not not too different from his boot camp, and this is a guy that was in the Marines, you know. So
So yeah, that's not you making it up. That's a guy that has experienced both. And I mean, you see the drills they run through and stuff like that. If you watch, if any of the shows or the Breaking Ground, I mean, and is you have to be in great physical shape, but you have to be in another level physical shape to be able to compete with another human being. And taking the bumps, I mean, if you've never taken a bump in a ring, it looks so easy on TV, but one bump at like literally my spleen would be in like Jersey
yeah,
at
and
this
then
point because I'm so
not only
broken.
that, but getting a move done to you by somebody like the Big Show. You know what I mean? Like if you're taking a bump on your own, your spleen would pop out your back. But like imagine if Big Show freaking choke slam you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's. But like I have full confidence, like, from somebody that respects the business down to paying your dues like a man. I have full confidence in the performance center and what they're doing there. That even somebody with no wrestling background, they would get them to a point where they respected the business and paid their dues the right way. Yeah.
As long as it's not the Big O, correct?
Correct.
Do me a favor. We talked a lot. Can you quickly just tell me the Ric Flair story? Because that
Oh,
is one of my favorite stories that I've told everybody.
yeah. So what do you call it? So I was at a live event. Um, it was in New Jersey. It was at like a rec center. It was really weird. It was like a place I would have never expected a WWE show to be. And I'm standing with Justin Carino, who's one of the new Heavenly Body guys I was telling you about. Another guy that's the freaking man. And if he ever listens to this, he's such a good dude, man. I love that guy to death. He went off and started talking to somebody that he knew. Um, and I just happened to turn around and I see Ric Flair and standing there by himself, uh, stirring his coffee, right? He had one of those little thin, like coffee straw stirrer things. And I'm watching him and I'm like, man, holy crap, this is Ric Flair. So I like, nobody else was around. It was just me standing there watching this. He starts stirring it, and this woman, this little like Hispanic woman, comes by with like one of those big like a garbage dumpster like pushy things on wheels. You know what I'm talking about? And he like stops her. He's like, "Oh, hold on a second." He's like, "Can I throw this out?" Like, I'm reading his lips. I was far enough away, so I couldn't really hear him. He's like, "Can I throw this out in there real quick?" Something like that. She's like, "Oh, sure." And she stopped. He throws it out.